What up, soldiers? Texas Girl 409, aka the Iraq veteran. And if you didn't know, on May 3rd, I'm about to turn 25. And for the past 6 months, I've been doing a lot of soul searching. I'm trying to find my right path in life, my calling. And if any of y'all are in this same position, where you're doing a lot of soul searching, or when you come to this point where you do a lot of soul searching, I highly recommend looking into your family history. I have a book here that my family did, and it's our family tree and a little bit of our family history. I knew somewhat that I come from a long line of military personnel. Some of these people include my birth giver, my dad, my Uncle Mike, both of my grandparents, and a lot of other people who are still alive right now who have served. Once I did more looking into it, I found out that I come from a long line of military people, all the way back from the American Revolution, and actually before the American Revolution. So I decided that I wanted to share this with y'all, because I figured y'all would be interested just as much as I was interested in it. I'm going to start off with my grandpa, because the title of this video is named Gunner, and that was his nickname when he was in the Navy. He passed away back in 2001 because of lung cancer. R.I.P. to him. So that's why I decided to dedicate this video to him, and to all of my other ancestors and everybody else who passed away in all these wars. The only thing I knew about my grandpa growing up was that he was in the Navy and that he was in a war. That is all I knew. That's why I was kind of like shocked a little bit when I found out other stuff. I was like, how the fuck did I not know about this? Because me, I talk about everything. But one thing in our family is we really don't talk about everything, especially the bad stuff. Me, I'm kind of the complete opposite. I like talking about the bad stuff to get it off my chest. So my grandpa served in the Navy. He joined in 1942. The war he fought in was the Korean War. He was actually shot and wounded when he was on a patrol on the beach. And that was one thing I read, and I was like, hey, how the fuck did I not know this? Another thing I found out about him was he had a buddy over there that he served with, and his name was Michael Eugene. This is a pretty gruesome story, and it's kind of hard for me to tell. Like, I can tell my bad stories like it's nothing, but for some reason this is kind of hard for me to tell. The story behind Michael Eugene was, it was my grandpa's buddy who got killed over there right beside him. I think what happened was he got blown up by a grenade or something. I think he got blown up pretty bad. A lot of his body parts and everything flew all over my grandpa. My grandpa went over to him and he kept reassuring him that everything's going to be okay. He's going to be alright. Even though he knew that he wasn't going to make it. But just because you're not going to live doesn't mean you're not going to be alright, because God's going to take care of you. So that's why he kept reassuring him that he was going to be okay. The reason I'm telling you this story is because it goes deeper than just that was my grandpa's buddy who died pretty much in his arms. Michael Eugene told my grandpa to name his son after him. And sure enough, the first kid they had was a boy, which is my Uncle Mike, Michael Eugene, who was named after my grandpa's friend who died in his arms. I just found this out yesterday, and it was, as soon as I read it, it kind of gave me chills, it's kind of like a good feeling. And at the time, I didn't know this, but now I found out that my grandpa's buddy, he was black. Now, I'm not the type that likes to bring up race. I'm not racist at all. I'm not prejudiced. I see everybody as one. Yeah, we're different colors. That's your personality. The color of your skin doesn't make your personality. So that's why I don't look at people as color. I look at them as human. Well, if you know my grandpa, or if you knew my grandpa, he wasn't racist, but he was pretty prejudiced. I don't agree with it, but I'm not judging my grandpa. So that's not what I'm sharing the story for. The reason I brought up the race is because since he was prejudiced, and since his buddy that died in his arms was black, I thought this was a story to share with y'all because it really touched my heart. It really did. I think it goes to show that my grandpa really wasn't prejudiced, that deep down he cared about everybody, no matter the color of their skin. And for him to name his son after a black guy goes to show that, even though he was considered prejudiced. But I think that right there goes to show that he really wasn't as prejudiced as we really think he is, or was. So R.I.P. Grandpa. I love you and I miss you. And I hope me sharing your story helps somebody out there, brings a little bit of positive to this world. Because that story really touched me. One other little thing about my grandpa is we had 2 chow dogs. My grandparents raised me all the way up until about 5th grade. We had 2 dogs. They were 2 chow dogs. One was named Sydney, and the other was named Gunner. He named his dog after his nickname in the military. That's how I actually found out that what his nickname was when I was talking to my cousin yesterday. My grandma's great-great-great-grandfather, Captain Ward McDonald Jr. Give me a second so I can find it right here, because I can't remember everything right off the top of my head. I have it all right here. But it says, my grandma's great-great-grandfather, Captain Ward McDonald Jr., served as a Confederate spy and scout during the Civil War. Ward's family home still stands on the McDonald Estate near Woodburn, Kentucky, and has been designated a state landmark by the Kentucky Historical Commission. So you know what that means. Eventually, I'm going to take a trip up to Kentucky, and I'm bringing y'all with me. We're going to go visit this historical landmark that is from one of my ancestors. Through one of the main wars of our country, the Civil War. And they actually wrote a book about him too. If any of y'all are interested in trying to find this book, the name of it is Johnny Reb, Confederate Spy. It was written in 1994. I think one of our family members wrote the book. I know my grandma or my aunt, they have the book. I'm going to try to hunt it down so I can read it because I'm very interested in reading it. McDonald's dad, which is my grandma's great-great-great-great-grandfather, Francis McDonald, served with Daniel Boone. If you don't know who Daniel Boone is probably one of America's first heroes. And it says in here, give me a second while I look it up. It says, Francis was one of the settlers who entered Kentucky with Daniel Boone through Cumberland Gap. He helped survey the city of Lexington, Kentucky, where he was one of the first landowners. Francis served in the American Revolution with George Rogers Clark as a lieutenant in the campaign Illinois. Francis McDonald established his family in the vicinity of Lexington. His family eventually spread to Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri, and Texas. That one, when I read that, I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not a type who gets all like giggity about celebrities, especially not the celebrities of the day. The true celebrities are the ones who fight for our freedom. However you want to define that definition of fighting for your freedom. And since he started with Daniel Boone, who is a true American hero, who is famous for doing good things, I thought that was pretty awesome. One of my other ancestors, Stephen Williams, served in the American Revolution. And I think he also... Actually, I have my notes on the screen right here. I think they're kind of messed up. Let me go ahead and find it real quick. It says... Stephen Williams was from North Carolina. He was in the 10th Regiment under Edward Yarbrough during the American Revolution. Okay, here it is. I forgot to add Junior on my notes. His son, Stephen Williams Jr., received 3/4 of a league for his service in the Texas Revolution. So see, a lot of my family has served in a lot of the wars that I feel are kind of necessary. The ones that, when it's a revolution, I kind of believe in revolutions like the Civil War, the American Revolution, because the American Revolution, we were escaping a tyranny government. A government that was just trying to turn us into slaves, pretty much. They were just trying to control us. And we broke away from Europe, and we formed up our own government. And I kind of feel that we're in a revolution right now, and I'm starting to feel like my calling, I thought this for a while, that my calling, I always thought my calling was to help people, but now I think helping people is to be active in the revolution that's going on now. Because a lot of my history shows, a lot of my family history shows that we served in these revolutions. And the revolutions are necessary today. You know, we need to escape this government that isn't for the people. You don't have to agree with me, or you don't have to agree with me with my views, but I just feel a revolution's needed right now, and I think that's my calling, is to be active in it. Who knows, maybe I'll become some famous hero. That's not what I'm doing it for, but if it happens, it happens. Honestly, I don't care if I'm remembered. I don't want to be remembered. I want to rest easy. But if I become this famous hero, as long as I'm remembered in a positive image, and I help keep bringing positives to this world, by all means, I'm for it. Another cool little story. My grandma's brother served in World War II as a bomber pilot, and he was shot down and killed. R.I.P. to him. One of my other family members, who was also in the military, wrote a book about him, and it's named A Fallen Eagle, a World War II B-24 pilot in the 15th Air Force with the 450th BG Cottontails. It was written by, I don't know what he's related to me by, or I don't know if he's like my uncle, you know, whatever. Clarence P. Cowart. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. I've actually read this whole book back in 2009 when I was in the PTSD program, and it was very interesting. I'll go ahead and read off the back to you. It says, The Fallen Eagle is the true story of a young boy from East Texas who volunteered for service in 1942. He entered the service with only a high school education and limited experience, other than working on a farm. His desire to be a pilot drove him to overcome numerous obstacles to be accepted into pilot training. He persevered through rigorous training to earn his wings. After receiving his wings, he became a B-24 pilot assigned to the 722nd Squadron of the 450th Bomb Group. When his unit training was complete, he was assigned to the 15th Air Force, operating out of Italy. He flew missions over most of Europe and the Balkans. Through over 75 of his personal letters, he shares his experiences, both emotional and physical, as he went from being a farm boy to being a heavy bomber pilot. He flew in dangerous combat situations, saw the horrors of aerial battle, and ultimately gave his life in the service of his country. The human side of the tragedy is told not only in his letters, but by letters of the crews not to kin, or, let me start over, sorry about that. The human side of the tragedy is told not only in the letters, but by the letters of the crew's next of kin and government correspondence in the aftermath. The final chapter describes the detailed government process to recover, make positive identification, and return his remains to the States. I have a lot of y'all who tell me I should write a book. I like to believe that I'm actually a pretty good writer. I like to believe I'm a pretty good speaker when I want to be. Sometimes I do stutter a lot. As y'all see in this video, this is probably like I think the second video I'm doing uncut. I like to do videos cut because I'm not that good of a speaker. I have a hard time remembering a lot of information and regurgitating it to y'all. But since there's a couple books written in my family about military, I'm starting to think that maybe one day I should write a book. Maybe about how to overcome PTSD, since I'm coping very well with my PTSD right now. I still struggle, but I'm doing a lot better than I was 6 months ago. But who knows, maybe I will write a book one day. One other thing about my Uncle Mike, remember how I told he was named after my grandpa's buddy who passed away? My Uncle Mike served in the Gulf War in Desert Storm back in the 90s. He was in the Marine Corps. He passed away when I was in Iraq in 2007 of lung cancer. R.I.P. Uncle Mike. I wish I would have got to tell you bye, so I'll tell you bye right now. So I think it kind of bothers me that I never really grieved his death because I was overseas. So I kind of pushed it to the side, and he actually passed away, I think, 2 weeks before my ex-girlfriend Kamisha was killed when we were in Iraq. So I never grieved his death. I just want to say, Uncle Mike, I think I had a lot in common with you because of our military background. I think he had PTSD. I noticed similarities between me and him. Like at family gatherings, he was always the type who kind of stayed quiet, didn't really associate with anybody too much. Just very quiet, and sometimes I'm like that. I'm very quiet. I like to stay to myself. And I know we used to live together. I used to live with my Uncle Mike. And I remember him staying up late all the time, and that's exactly what I do now. So I wish he was still alive, or I don't like to wish. I think wishes are the devil. Prayers equals good. Wishes equal evil. That's just me. You don't have to agree with me. But I know you're not here, so you're in a better place. You're very missed. I love you. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed learning a little bit about my background. If y'all want to see more videos of uncut videos like this, let me know. I feel like it's more personal. Even though I might mess up, it's like you're actually sitting here with me. Like, actually sitting in my room here with me and me talking to you. Like we're holding a normal conversation in a way. It's just more authentic. So if y'all want to see more videos where I'm doing them uncut, just let me know. I'm not going to do all of them because I do have videos where I want to put off a positive message and I have to have it edited. It makes it more, makes the message more stronger, I guess. But I just want to say rest in peace to all my family members who served their country, whatever you want to define that as. They're greatly missed. They'll never be forgotten. And I'm very glad I came across this. This is something I really needed to find out. And if y'all want to know more about my family history, I might eventually start looking more into it. Who knows? I'll try to go further back. You know, because right now the farthest I went back was like 1700s. A little bit before the American Revolution. Anyways, I want to thank all of y'all for all the support. It really means a lot. And if y'all want to get more personal with me, you can like my fan page. It's in the description. You can send me messages to my fan page now, so it's easier for me to talk. And sometimes I do link out my personal Facebook, so you can talk to me on there. I've talked to a lot of my soldiers, and if y'all don't know, I call my subscribers soldiers. I don't like to look at you just a number. I like to look at you as a friend. And I'm a person that likes to give advice, and I like to share my personal advice. Any advice I give is from my personal experience. Some people take it as I force my advice on you. I just share my advice. You don't have to take it. But if my advice is meant for you, you'll remember it, and when the time comes, it'll pop in your head, and you'll be like, wow, I might apply that to my life and see if that works. I'm just the type who likes to help. I like to give back. Example, I talked to one of my soldiers a couple months ago. He was asking for advice, for female advice. He was like in high school, and I try to help him out. I'm not saying my advice is the right advice, but hey, take it how you want. Anyways, thanks for all the support. Much love. Today I'm going to talk about my most scariest moment in Iraq. We headed out on mission in the morning, and we proceeded to head to a combat outpost. On the way to that combat outpost, they came over the radio and gave us intel of a possible sniper in this area.